love, this thing called love. And we looked over the past couple of weeks at the different types of love. We're not going to go over them. If you weren't here or you don't know, then you can go back in the YouTube and pull it up. It's under this thing called love. But last evening we were looking at the final type of love that we look at. We call Mania love or Mania, and it's an obsessive kind of love. It's a love. It's a jealous kind of love. It's a love that people they just stuck on you. They can't stop thinking about the person. They get up thinking about the person, go to bed thinking about the person. They want the person near to them right through the day. That kind of love. And it's also, apart from being a jealous kind of love, it's a fearful kind of love. Because you're feeling this thing for this person and you're afraid that you would lose them. You're afraid that the relationship would break up. And it makes you become a stalker, cyber stalker, physical stalker. You do things that you would not normally do. You become a different person because of this passion that you have for this person. It's a possessive kind of love too, where you try to control the person, where they're going, where they are. You want to know exactly where they are at all times because you feel that somebody attention or somebody has their attention and you're the only one that is supposed to have your attention, at least in that way. That's the kind of love we're talking about. That kind of emotion we're talking about. Who's that you're talking to? Who's that on the phone? How come you stay so long? And you know, that kind of, and those are some of the questions that you get from someone who has that. And we had some questions last evening, and we asked the question, should a husband and wives have secrets from each other? We talked about that, and we had some discussion on it. In fact, that's where we left off last evening. Should a husband and wife have secrets from each other? And I wanted to find out from Bernadette. I don't know, Bernadette, if you're on. Are you on tonight, Bernadette?
Yes, she is. We just unmute.
Okay. So Bernadette, if you could unmute. I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot. Hi. All right. Bernadette, your husband is blind, right?
Yes, he is.
Right. So it's easy to take advantage of a blind person because they can't see what you're doing. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Would you tell your husband, because he's not able to see, if someone what's the word? I want to use a word that everybody is familiar with. If someone has feelings for you and they're expressing it to you, would you tell your husband that? Because he doesn't know, he can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Would you tell him? Would you feel comfortable telling him, hey, you know, honey, this man? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I will tell you about a situation we had. Well, he has been blind 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And early in our marriage, he got blind when we were 7 years into our marriage. And I think was a couple of years ago, I think 3 years ago, there's a gentleman up here that expressed his love for me. And I was very, very uncomfortable with it. And I went to him. And, you know, he wasn't even, you know, affected by it because he knew where I stand in our marriage. No matter what. At first, he thought I would have left him when he lost his sight, actually. And I reassured him because he actually did things for me to leave him. So, yeah, he actually did things where he would say things, you know, he would just go by himself. He actually told my brother that he is fearful that I would leave him. But I reassured him so much so I proposed to him on our 16th-year anniversary, and we renewed our vows. So there were many persons that used to come to me and say, well, I like you and I love you. And I said, listen to me. Number one, you are not Jesus Christ. And I belong to Mr. Marlon Perry and no one else. So whatever you are trying, you will not get through. So stop. So anyone, any man, any boy comes to me and expresses his feelings towards me, I go to my husband and we talk about it and we know how to approach it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you for being open. Thank you for sharing. Right.
No problem.
And I wanted a practical example of situations like that, where you have the opportunity to do something and get away with it. What would you do? And it depends on the state of your relationship, the strength of your relationship. Because some people would say, even though I'm not doing anything, I'm not going to let my husband know. Why? Because it might create some insecurities in him. It might make him start to think, wonder, and stir up things in his mind, and So you've got to know your spouse. You got to know the person you're dealing with, and you have got to know if telling them helps the situation, or if it would make it worse. So let me ask this question to some of us. Those of us who are married. Does your spouse know the password to your phone, to your laptop, to your device? Does your spouse know your password? Do you feel comfortable with your spouse knowing your password? Talk to me, somebody. Do you feel comfortable?
All right, Dr. Richards, we have some, Samantha said, yes, my mic is open. Right, sorry. Yes, so we have, Samantha says, yes, Susan says yes, Bernadette says very comfortable, Galaxy A12 like me says she has no password, Michelle said yes, I don't have nothing to hide, and Elder Sherry said I have no password on my phone, and yes to everything else. Yes, Paulette says yes, Auntie Gail says yes. We have Gail. Gail, you took down your hand? Elder Gail?
Sorry, I was going to type. I took it out to type. I have no password. My husband can answer my phone. He could go through my phone. I have nothing to hide. I just want to chip in here with something. If I am doing something, anything home in my house, and I happen to come across something that belongs to my husband, so say if I'm looking for something and I see an envelope, and I'm going into that envelope, if the Holy Spirit, the Lord says to me, is that yours? Why are you going into that? Is that your own? And when I say no, he said, well, who's that? And that's how the Holy Spirit deals with me. So there's an openness. My husband could go to anything. He could go into my handbag, my wallet, anything. I have nothing to hide. And it always brings me back to what I always say, do ever keep secrets for the devil, because he will expose you. So in that way, I have nothing to hide.
Thank you. Thank you, Elder Gail. So everybody is saying they have no problem. Or did everybody say that? I think we had 100.
We have, no, well, Paulette says, Auntie Gail says yes. Zena says yes, she knows it all. And Paulette says the same thing, I have nothing to hide. So everyone is basically saying yes.
Okay, fine. So let me ask this question. What do you think of somebody, or do you have a problem with someone if someone says, no, I will not let my spouse go through my phone? What would you think of that person? Or do you have any problem with anybody saying no? So you have said yes, and it's fine with you. But do you think there are situations that you can say, if people say, well, look, no, that there might be situations or reasons why they would say no? Anybody? In other words, do you think that everybody should say yes? Maybe I should ask the question that way. Do you think that people should not have a problem with their spouse going through their phone?
Dr. Richards, what I wanted to say, someone put it in the chat. So Elder Gail says it, to each his own. Some people are very private, and we have Elder Sherry, hand is up, and Mitzi, in that order, Elder Sherry and then Mitzi.
Good evening, family. There are some people who are overreactionary and always suspicious. And I think sometimes you try to save people from themselves because you'll always have to be explaining. And in a case like that, I feel it's safe to probably have, your phone or whatever secure, because anything could be misinterpreted. You get a message from somebody saying, come and pick up the package or some kind of thing they think is a code, something. And it have some people like that. They're always suspicious. They're not, I guess they have their own personal issues that they have not dealt with, or maybe have had a bad experience. And as a result of that, they never learn to trust. So as a result, everything they're suspicious of, and you have to save them from themselves. So I would say yes in that case.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Shaw, before Sister Mitzi comes on, Bernadette says, I guess it's their personal choice. Davia says yes. Susan said, everyone has to know themselves. Janet says, whoever says no, they have their reasons, so I will not be vexed. Right? Elder Gail says you have to know your spouse. And Davia said, true, they lack trust. That's in response to Elder Sherry's comment. Sister Mitzi.
Good night, everyone. I will agree with Elder Sherry. I mean, yes, you can't be vexed with everyone who said no, but at the same time, you in a relationship, you don't know what other people's relationship is like. So you wouldn't said yes, everybody should say yes to that. But with you personally, don't have no password on your phone, and your husband should not have a password on their phone. Because in my mind, I would say, they're hiding something. And I know in his mind, he would say, what wifey hiding, boy? So there have to be some trust, not some trust, total loyalty, right? To that. So I would say it depends on the relationship with other people, so I wouldn't bother by that when people said they would put password on their phone.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dr. Richards, well, Melissa Jiva says she agrees with Elder Sherry, and Galaxy A12 says, because of the nature of my husband's job, he has a password and I don't have a problem with it. So, yeah, Dr. Richards, Elder Gail, hand is up.
Elder Gail?
Sorry, I was just about to say, my husband's phone has a password. I don't go into his phone, and I really don't care if his phone has a password. That's not my concern. I really don't care. He could have all the password, but he could freely go into my stuff. And if he doesn't, if for his own privacy, and if he feels that there are things he doesn't want me to see, in fact, I don't even go on his phone. So there's nothing that I want that he would have on his phone that I want to see. I don't care, really.
All right, thank you. So let me ask you this question. Are we asking questions tonight? We're discussing tonight.
Dr. Richards, there's a comment in the chat. Michelle says, there are times where you have to put a password because of the grandchildren deleting your information.
Okay. All right. So if you have a spouse, a partner who displays this kind of mania or mania, how let's call it mania, you know, it's so more like a maniac. So, all right, who displays that kind of behavior. They're very possessive. They always want to know where you are. They you know, that kind of thing. Would it be better to have a password on your phone so that they would not be able, as Elder Sherry says, you know, you have to save some people from themselves? Or would it be better not to put a password on your phone so that they would not be accusing you of various things? What do you think would be the better option in a case like that? Anybody? Think about it. You have a person who is very possessive, always want to know where you are. They're very suspicious of everything. Would it be easier or better to have a password so that you will save them from themselves, because you might have innocent thing there and they always think something going on? Or not have a password, because if you do, is now they get suspicious and now they think something is happening. What would you do? Talk to me, somebody.
Dr. Richard's password for me. I will put a password. It's better you have a, as Elder Sherry said, it's so true, you know, you would think everything is a code. So you know, normal, sometimes work and you're having a problem with it, and the stress level of that, if your partner is like that, I would suggest put a password. And whenever they have to go in the phone, you know, at least you are aware of whatever it is, you know. But yeah, password, because I'm telling you, Dr. Richards, I know of someone, I've worked with someone like that, and it's really a mess. You know, you tell yourself people probably make things up, but there are people out there who are crazy. I mean, no, there are people out there whose mind really works differently, and it can create problems. Yeah. Judy says in the chat, password. And Cindy says, that's what I was thinking. So she's um, she's agreeing, you know, and we have Sister Mitzi's hand is up again. Terry Ann says, hi, Terry. Terry Ann says, put a password, but it will not change how they feel and their actions. But trust is so important in a relationship. Amen to that. Mitzi.
Yeah. First of all, Dr. Richards, right? Before you get married, wouldn't you see red flag to know that this person is a psycho? I mean, not really a psycho, but possessive, right? So why would you go into a marriage with someone like that, right?
I could answer that in 3 words. Love is blind. Love is blind.
True.
Continue.
And second of all, okay, you put the password, just as how it don't have any password on the phone and it's still a possessive freak. You put the password, what do you think would happen? It would still be even more upset, because they're gonna ask you what you hiding and blah blah etc. So it best you just leave the phone as is, you know, just to avoid all contention.
Thank you so much, Sister Mitzi.
Dr. Richard, I have to smile. Minister Jiva says that type of, or I should say those type of people, it's not to be in a relationship with them, full stop. You know, I am saying full stop. It's such a truth. But sometimes, Dr. Richards, I believe people don't know us. So like when you're courting, you have to probably point it out to them, you know, and let them know, hey, you're getting on like a Lifetime movie, you know, that kind of a thing. So kind of pull back, because sometimes people are just not aware of what they're doing. Davia says yes, but maybe the person did not start off like that. And that I don't believe. I believe that anyhow, let me leave that, Dr. Richards. Bernadette says run, and she's laughing. And so too is Mitzi. Elder Gail, hand is up.
Okay. Elder Gail.
Oh gosh, sorry. It's just that I like question time. I agree with Sister Mitzi. I would not put on a password, because that person is going to make your life a living hell. They are going to be miserable. They are going to annoy you. Every single place you go, they feel that you're hiding something. You're going to meet someone. I would not put a password. there's nothing to see, there's nothing to hide, so you could see whatever. And also, I agree with Sister Jiva. You see those kind of people? If you're courting, it's to stay away from them. Relationships are not for them. And then I always like to go back in people's history in their past, to see where it started, because it started from when they were small, the insecurity. And most times, insecure people behave like that, and they bring their insecurities into a marriage and makes the wife life miserable. And let me tell you something, not only on the man's side, there are some women who are very jealous and very insecure. And the husband can't speak to anybody. He can't even leave the house to go anywhere without being put through the third degree. So it happens on both sides. But for me, I'm on a password. My peace more important.
Thank you. Thank you, Elder Gail.
Dr. Richards, Alcatel says some people have two phones, one with a password and the other without. Elder
Keeping
Sherry,
secrets.
but I think that would be crazy. Even more to have two phones and one have a password. And also Elder Sherry says that she agrees with Sister Bernadette. Brenda says with some people, they will always be upset no matter what you do. Some persons don't show their true colors until you are deep in the relationship. And Judy says, yes, so true. Michelle says, get the anointing oil and soak the person down. They need plenty deliverance. Annie says, sometimes you see the red flags, but some people feel they can fix people. iPhone, your hand is up.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Hi.
One key factor that is being overlooked in a relationship like this is that these insecurities could lead to abuse. So if someone finds themselves in such a relationship, it might be best to not have a password on to avoid any further aggravation, because it can escalate to abuse.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Richards, we have Elder Gail saying yes, definitely, and Elder Sherry hand is up.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was just remembering that kind of obsessive behavior. There was a guy in my earlier years that, I was now starting to date. And I remember going out with some friends one time, and this man came and parked up in my yard for 4 hours because I wasn't home. 4 hours. And yes, that's why I agree with Sister Bernadette. Run. That was it. That was the I mean, you might have been in that situation. So I'm saying, definitely, I feel there's always, and I agree with Pastor Nicole, she was going there, but she pulled back. There are always some red flags, and you have to see these things early, because if you, put them, mask it and disguise it and call it something else, you will eventually see the outcome of it, like iPhone, whatever, sister, iPhone, it would lead to abuse, because this person is obviously an obsessed person, and whether you have password or you don't have password, they will find something to be accusing, because it's something in there.
Thank you, Elder Sherry. And I'm liking the discussion because these are real situations. These are not made up things. Even though I'm asking the question, these are things that people are experiencing on a daily basis. And we have to know how to deal with these things. And I'll tell you, being a Christian doesn't change this situation. It may change how you deal with it, how you react to it. It may change you in terms of, either you run to God, as my wife always says. I've learned that from her. Whenever she has problems, a lot of people run away from God. She runs to God, and I've learned that from her. And you have to decide whether you're going to run to God or run away from. But one of the things that I want us to understand is that we have real situations, whether you're a believer or non-believer, we have real situations, and there are principles for everything. There are principles in marriage. There are principles in terms of what you do, what you look for in a potential spouse, how you date. There are principles, things that don't change. And if we ignore them to say, well, I'm a child of God and everything is going to be all right, that's where we run into a lot of problems. That is where we run into serious, serious issues. And that's why we're talking about it. Because very often, well, like when we were growing up, you know, you see this one like that one, and you get them together and you marry them off. And they don't know what marriage is. They don't know why they're getting married. They don't know about relationship. They don't know the fundamental of relationships. When I do marital counseling, I have a form that I ask people to fill out with 50 questions. And I have to cut it down, 50 questions that they must fill out, and they fill out individually, not together. Same questions, and they fill it out individually, and then they submit it to me, and we use that as a basis of just to study counseling. And that is something we need to start doing. We need to start understanding that before you get married, you need to sit down with someone, a counselor, someone who has the knowledge, who has the wisdom to guide you. And very often we see this thing called love. We feel we should get married because we love. And we have talked about the different kind of love, and sometimes it's not. It's that same mania. You're marrying a maniac and you don't even know. Or you're involved in a maniac and you don't even know. And we need guidance. And that's what the scripture said, let the older man teach a younger man, let the older woman teach a younger woman. That's a model that God has set for us. But we don't do that. We concern ourselves more with the wedding planning, you know, what we are worrying about, how much people to invite and who in, you know, this and who going to give us presents and that sort of thing. And the real thing, the marriage, we don't really prepare for that. We prepare for the wedding. And that's why I'm asking this question, because these are real situations that Christians are living in. Christian people, we are not immune from these challenges. So let me ask another question. And I want you to be honest with me, if you as honest as you can be. Would you tell your spouse if you are attracted to somebody else? And don't tell me, well, I'm married, I will not, you know, I will never get attracted to somebody else. Or even if you engage to somebody, or you all are courting, would you, and you see somebody that attracts you, would you tell your spouse? Talk to me.
Dr. Richards. Anyway, let me, Terry-Ann says, I don't think it's in connection to this question, but prior she says, yes, totally agree. But as that said, that's right, marriage is a lifetime and wedding is for a day. Bernadette says, only thing changed with Marlon is that he lost his sight, but as he always says, he has a vision. I like that. I like that.
A lot of blind people have more vision than us. You know? Yeah.
And Elder Gail and Audrey says, yes, they will tell them. They will tell their spouse.
Okay.
And we have 2 hands up, Doc. We have,
go ahead.
oh good, Mitzi on a roll tonight. Shirla, we have Shirla hand, and after Shirla is Mitzi, and then Elder Gail in that order.
Let's go. Shirla.
Good night. My thing is that one time I told my friend that I was attracted to a gentleman. And I don't think was to have a relationship with him, that I just like how he dressed and how he carried about himself. Well, I made one of the saddest mistakes of my life. And so much so that one time my father took ill, he was an ambulance driver, and my father took ill, and the gentleman came, he was the driver. I couldn't even tell him that he was the driver. I just said I didn't know the gentleman.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Who's the next person?
Sister Mitzi and Elder Gail.
Yes, I mean, this might sound naive, but the question was what you said. Would you tell your spouse that you're attracted to someone else?
Someone else, yes.
I don't get it. I mean, this is me, okay, you love the man that you're married to him, right? How it is that you have eyes for someone else? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, and that's just me, right? If you married, right, because again, as what Dr. Miles said, don't marry for love, but love have to in there somewhere, somehow, right? The thing is, if you married and you have your spouse, but yes, still your eyes are wandering out there, why? Unless your spouse not giving you something inside, right? So your eyes.
Sister Mitzi, it's not so much that your eyes are wandering, although that happens. But the reality is we are human beings. And, you know, when a sperm meets an egg, a sperm meets an egg, something is created that God, in his wisdom, he created, I don't remember what the process is called, at fertilization, but I don't remember what I'm going to explain is called. What happened is a chemical reaction that no other sperm can penetrate that egg again. And even though there are millions, millions and millions of sperm, only one penetrates that egg and fertilizes that egg. So no other sperm can fertilize the egg. That's at that level. But when you get married, it does not mean that you're not going to see anyone else out there that's going to attract your attention. It does not mean that. Because that is being naive. You said you don't want to be naive, but that is being naive, because it says to me that chemical reaction takes place when I get married. So then why it is so many people commit adultery? Why it is we have problems in marriages? Because people are not able to deal with the fact that I love this person in front of me, but there are qualities in somebody else that I might see that might attract my attention. It happens. It happens.
Okay, let me ask you: is it that's why the Muslims them have 4, 6, 7 wives because of that?
No, I can't speak to that, and I don't think so. I think they just in their religion allow for that, and they base that based on things that happen in the Old Testament. We don't want to get into that now. What I'm saying is, it is possible that even in a relationship, in a marriage, that someone else can attract your attention.
Yeah, but shouldn't we feel bad when that happened? I mean, shouldn't we feel, again,
that's what we're talking about. It's not about whether you feel bad or not. The question is, would you tell your spouse? Would you tell your spouse,
Would I tell my spouse? Oh gosh, that I will have to go before God, because if I go and tell my spouse that, you're gonna say, that go create a whole setup, open up Pandora's box, honestly. That go open up something,
Okay.
so.
Okay, thank you, Sister Mitzi. Thank you.
Dr. Richards, before Elder Gail speak, Michelle says, yes, I will tell him. Julian says, no, I won't. Debbie is listening, and Debbie says that she's not going to say anything. She will not say anything. Judy says, no, I won't. Susan says, yes. Terrian says, you can have an attraction to another person, but you don't have to carry out the action. And so Sister Myrna and Sister Bernadette agreed with Sister Terrian. Adrian says, if we are married and we see someone else that we might be interested in, wouldn't that be considered as lust? And then Terrian says, I would not tell my spouse because the fact is he will reproach me later on. So the answer is no. And Dr. Richards, just before Elder Gail comment, let me tell you, you can see people, Dr. Richards, I believe you can see people and find them nice looking. if you are attracted to that person, right, especially as a woman don't just like a man like that. Women give of themselves when they are emotionally connected to that man. That's why men could tell you what they want. We would say, shush, I'm to he boy, he don't know I have a, a husband, and we move on. But if we start listening to the airy, fairy talk of the man, and we stay to hear the little talk and the little talk, that is when the problem takes place. So what you have to do, make a conversation short with the opposite sex and keep everybody on that level. But it's only when you spend all that time with them, you realize, oh, I'm attracted, heart beating and that kind of a thing. I can't speak for men because men get turned on by sight. So, but that's my 2 cents in that. So we have Elder Gail.
I'll come back to you on that, First Lady. And just before Ella Gail, let me just answer Adrian. He said, would that be considered as lust? We're talking about attraction. You see somebody and there are qualities in that person. Attraction means they catch your attention. They get your attention. There's something about this person. All right. Would you tell your spouse that? Would you say? That's what I'm asking. We're not talking about desiring people and wanting to go to bed with them or wanting to have a relationship. That takes it to another level. All right. I am talking about you're attracted to someone else. What would you? And so we're not talking about that lust here. All right. If we're talking about lust, then we know one time. That's a no-no. All right. So who are the people? Elder Gail?
Elder Gail, and after Elder Gail, Michelle.
Earlier on when I said yes, I was saying yes to Sister Bernadette, what Sister Bernadette had said, earlier on when I said yes. But to answer this one, if I know that my husband is an insecure person, I will not tell him because I don't want to hurt his feelings and make him feel less of a person. Now, a couple of things that both yourself, Pastor Nicole, and Pastor Noel said, I agree with totally. And I also want to thank you for that clarification because we can get misunderstand the attractiveness, that attraction that you're speaking about as lust, as Brother Adrian was asking. We have eyes, and it has some really good looking men outside here and good looking women. And there is nothing wrong if you see a man who dresses well, because I always see people who dress nice and I tell them, I say, you look nice. I like how your belt matching your shoe. Or you see somebody, you say, but you're a handsome young man. I remember once I had a manager, he was a Chinese, he was the first good looking Chinese I ever saw. And when the man had just come to the branch, and we had our first staff meeting, and I said, but you're attractive Chinese, the first good looking Chinese, you have to have a relationship. No, but you're appreciating something that you see. People look at me and tell me I look good, I'm nice and attractive. That's nice. So you pay people compliments because you have eyes and you see beauty in other people. But I'm going back. If it is my husband is very insecure in himself, I will be very careful as to how I say to him, he has nice ways, because then all of a sudden he might start feeling, well, so I don't have nice ways then. I don't look nice in your eyes. And that's when the insecurity comes in, and that could be a messy situation. So I always say you have to know your spouse and what you can say and what you can't say to your spouse, because the Bible says that a man should live with his wife according to knowledge, and I believe it also refers to the man. As a wife, you know your husband, so you know what to say and what not to say, because you don't want to create any insecurities that will make your partner feel, unhappy. Because the whole idea is to be happy in your relationship. So that's my contribution at this time.
Just a minute, Dr. Richards. Did Elder Gail really answer that question? Because the question is that you find yourself attracted to the person, not that the person, Elder Gail, not that the person is looking good, you're talking about when you see the person, your heart racing, and you find yourself probably think about the person in a way that you shouldn't think about them. Because what you're saying is what we would normally do, Elder Gail, but I think the question is, if you find yourself attracted, and when are you attracted to somebody, what does that mean? Now that your heart racing, you're thinking about them, you like them, they're making you smile, when you're sitting there blushing.
But Pastor Nicole, if we go down that road, well, then we are going down the road that Brother Adrian spoke about. Because if I meet a man and my heart beating and fluttering and all that's wrong. I would say that's wrong. And then that's why I would say I will not tell my husband if it is that I'm reaching that point in any association. I don't want to. I cut you off, because you see those type of attractions could lead down a road that you don't want to go. So if my heart should only flutter for my husband, but if that happens and I know my husband is insecure, I will not do that. I will not hurt my husband like that because it could cause hurt for my husband.
Okay,
So I'm hoping I answered no, but
okay, listen. I know that Michelle, just give me a second here. Okay, Gail, when I think of being attracted to someone, and I noticed that Elder Sherry said the same thing, lust. I am talking about based on what Dr. Richards is saying, in order, and I just said that's what I just said. I said, women don't lust after men. For a man to get you to think of them, it means he would have got into your whole psyche as a woman. It means that you would have enjoyed being in his company. That is not lust. I think it is the fact that you are attracted to someone else other than your spouse, that person. And that's why I use the word, that's why I said make your heart race, because when you see him, your hands are sweating. There are a lot of good looking men you see on the road, but that person doesn't make your heart race. That person don't make you sweat. But when you are attracted to them, when you are giving what, as Dr. Richard said, what's supposed to be your husband, but you are attracted to this person excites you, in a way that you like them. Let's put it out there that you like the person in a way that you should be liking your husband. That's why I said to avoid that, we have to not have conversations with men like that. But you know that you're a woman just like me. We would see men and it doesn't really matter. They look good in the pants. They smile nice. Their eyes look nice. They have wet lips and those things, but you don't want to be with them. You just find, hey, but when you get the conversations and you sit with them, then that's what I was talking about. So
okay. Well, I will answer that, Pastor Nicole. Yes, I will tell my husband, and you know why? Because those type of feelings, I'm just saying that those type of feelings will only be for him. So I will tell him that I'm attracted to him. Sorry, that may not be the answer that you want to hear, but I will not do that to anybody else. If I have to have those kind of sweaty palm feelings, I think that has to be for my husband alone. Sorry, that is just my answer. It has to be for him.
And we agree with that. We agree with that. My question is, if you start having these feelings for someone else, not that you want to be with the person because you're not going to cross, in your heart, you're not going to cross the line. Nothing is going to happen. But it just happened that you're just thinking about this person. There's something about this person that attracts. And that's why I use the word attract. Because attract could just mean you're thinking about the person. You like to be in their presence. You like to talk to them. That kind, and you have that kind of feeling, that, heart racing feeling. Would you tell your husband? And that's the question I asked. But I think Sister Michelle.
Yes, because it will be him. Yes, I'll tell him because it will be him.
No, Elder Gail, you're being naughty.
That will be him. Sorry, I'm gone, but it will be him because I will not have those kind of feelings for anybody else. Sorry. Bye.
Sister Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. I recall I had in my days in the world, before I become a Christian, I had a good friend. We talk, and we behaved good, like good friends, and we end up lost in contact with each other. And apparently, I had a wedding to attend. As I'm married now, I went to my good friend wedding. My husband had a convention to attend. Anyhow, but when I look up, I saw the person staring me from a distance, and all my paws raised. I said, "What the hell going on here? This is not right." But anyhow, when he came and he sit down and we talk, all kind of things had to run through my mind. I say, "Wait, he really has good quality as a husband to whoever want him. He has good qualities." But my little heart started to raise. Me, I say, "Father, when he put his hands on my shoulder, all that kind of excitement and all those feelings just went through the doors. I said, no, I cannot, in my heart of heart, I am not gonna put myself like telling him, the person himself, hey, just so as I see you, my heart's at a race. I said, no, I would not tell him, the person that, but the thing is, the Lord placed in my heart, remember, you're a married woman. And I say, yeah, sure, right. But when the person come and he touched me, my whole blood went cold like a fish. But eventually I told my husband, I say, it's a friend I haven't seen for years. And to see him all hunky and nice and gorgeous. I said, Papa, these men, he has the features of a model. First, he handsome for these. And for my heart to just race just so, and I start to stutter. I say, that is not me. Never was me. But the moment he sit down by me, and he placed his hands, all old friends, they placed their hands around my shoulder. That was a turn off for me. And I just shoved I said, excuse me, take your hands off for me, please. I don't know if that is what you're talking about, but otherwise I went and tell my husband about it. And he said, well, once nothing happened, once he didn't do anything. I said, me? I will not do those things. I fear God than to put myself or do any harm against my marriage.
Thank you. Now we are past the time, so I'm asking you all to bear with us for a few moments.
Yes, just Dr. Richards. We have Sister Kimlan. Her heart is up. Oh,
go ahead, Sister Kimlan.
Night, everyone. Okay, so to be brutally honest about it, back in the days in the flesh season when I was practicing for marriage, so to speak, there were times where I would have met, let's just say, other prospects who had qualities that were more appealing than the person I would have been at that time in a relationship with. And well, I always believed in being honest regardless. And I did express, my attraction. The understanding of it for me in the flesh side of it was that is where my loyalty lie, because I'm human. In a workspace, okay, in work we have work husbands or work wives, so to speak. It depends on the dynamic of the relationship you're with whomever your spouse may be. So let's say I were to get married now, and I've been single for quite some time, and I don't know, I got married and bounced up somebody who I was attracted to before the husband came, and I found I had, an attraction to them, but nothing ever materialized. Yes, I would tell my current husband, I was attracted to this guy, because it was there. It may not have occurred and nothing was pursued. And let's just say in my relationship now, I meet someone, you're working in spaces with people. People do things that draws your attention. And yes, you may find yourself drawn to them. But again, you must know that where the line is drawn. But I would still tell the husband, because Bob may have a personality that Jake don't have, and it may have been something I desired in Jake. They used to call it in the world 80-20 rule. So Bob may just happen to be the 20, but I'm the kind of person that might just be out my rockers to tell your husband, well, for the 20 that you're lacking, I'll enjoy it from Bob, but I'm doing nothing but I enjoy that 20 that, when I say that, in terms of being in their space, but not actively, jumping into anything. Just do whatever I would find admirable or what I would have. It doesn't have to be in a physical way. It could just be that I like the way they speak, or, I like to be in their presence. And it doesn't have to venture, well, at least my mind would have to be strong enough, obviously, to know where to draw the line. But if I'm attracted, I will tell whoever it is. I just believe that I will.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Kimberly. I see we've gone over the time, so I don't want to keep you too long. But it's important to have these kind of discussions. And I want us to be real, because very often, because we don't think these things can happen to us, they happen to us. And when these things happen, sometimes we are surprised, sometimes we don't know how to handle it because we didn't think that it could happen to us. I just want to remind you that there's much that I would want to say, but because of the time, I won't say. Just to remind us, though, that the scripture says that there's no temptation that is taken to you, but such that is common to man. But God will make a way of escape. All right? So that you will be able to bear it. In other words, we don't give in to temptation. Every temptation comes with an escape clause, an escape hatch, escape window. Every temptation, no matter how strong it is. All right, that's one thing I want to remind you of. And secondly, I want to let you know that a lot of these things we are talking about, it depends how you respond to it, how you act it, would it be dependent on two things. One, your relationship with God, and two, your relationship with your spouse. You have got to know your spouse. You've got to know that if I say this, is it going to do more damage than good? Is it necessary for me to say this? It might be necessary so that you yourself would know that my spouse knows, so that I'm accountable. Or you may say, no, it's not necessary to say it because sometimes what you don't know doesn't hurt. And please don't go away and say that I'm saying that. I'm saying there are instances. So we will have to examine each case by itself. But as I said, it depends on your relationship with your spouse and your relationship with God. And understanding as well that things happen in this life. Remember, the devil is working in a war. Things happening in this life that sometimes it's unexpected. You don't expect it to happen, but it happened. You're going good, you and your husband going good, you and your wife going good, and bam, this person comes to work by you, and there's something about this person. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? And if you don't think about how you're going to deal with it, then it may take you by surprise. And we need to be real. We need to be real. It happens. And that's why you have got to be saved. Sober and vigilant every day. Sober and vigilant every day. You got to be saved. But we're going to continue talking about this some more because it's important that we talk about these things. It's very important. And you've got to, as I said, you got to know your spouse. For me, let me tell you, as a man, I want to know everything. I want to know if you have feelings for somebody. I want to know what is going on in your head and your heart. And I tell my wife this. Just give me 2 more minutes. I tell my wife this all the time. I really don't care how many men are attracted to you and love you and want you to be their wife instead of mine. Instead of mine, it doesn't matter to me. In fact, the more the merrier. Let them see you and admire you, and that. My concern is how you feel, how you react to them. My concern is, what do you say when they tell you things? How do you respond? How does it make you feel? That's my concern. But that's me. Some people tell, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Don't come and tell me. So you've got to know your spouse. You got to know what you are able to say and what you're not able to say. I remember once, a long, long time ago, very early in our marriage, my wife came and told me, there's this guy at work, he has beautiful eyes. She told me she liked his eyes. And I was glad she told me. I was glad because I didn't want to find out from somebody else or somewhere else. She might have told somebody that she liked his eye, and then I hear my wife like this man eye. How would I feel? I want to know everything. I want to know your struggles. I want to know your challenges. I want to know how you feel. I want to know. That's me. That's me. Okay? But anyway, I've kept, I don't like to keep you over time, but we've kept you over time tonight. So let me let you go here and now. God bless you. Thank you so much for being real and for being open. We're going to continue the discussion on Tuesday, God's willing, when we come back. Yes, on Tuesday when we come back. And have a wonderful weekend, people. Have a good night. God bless you. I love you dearly. First Lady, you have 30 seconds to close.